lot of times I'm driving, there's nothing to do, and I shuffle through the radio before I unglue. There's a lot of red on ways, it's traffic, I'm screwed, and I'm wired a bit different than a regular dude. It's not a bad thing, I embrace it, it's true. The radio don't stimulate brain chemistry fluid. The Buddha found nirvana and the Four Noble Truths. Through a meditative process, right action he proved. For me, I require the use of a tool, a detector, pin, pointer, shovel, and beach scoop. I'm meant to work the dirt with my history crew, but everywhere I look, my interest taboo. Most people choose Bieber over Tippecanoe. What does a detectorist listen to when the radio is full of bad music and news? I need an alternative for me to peruse. Beyond Sight and Sound gets fantastic reviews. A metal detecting show where my thought bubble brews. Thank you, Josh Kimmel, for inviting me to a detecting dork out with guests like yours truly.
Are you looking for a high-quality beach and sand scoop? Are you trying to take your hunting to the extreme? How about an American-based company that stands behind their product and everything they sell? Then check out our friends over at XTREME Scoops. John has been making scoops for some time now and makes a quality beach and sand scoop to take your hunting to the next level. XTREME Scoops recently released their new sand shredder that works great in the water and on the beach. And if you're a new Equinox user, you may want to check out his Surfmaster X3 that can trap those small targets you new Equinox users are finding out there. XTREME Scoop's company approach is let's do it right. So do it right, buy it once, and go to the extreme. XTREMEScoops.com. That's XTREME scoops.com.
Caution. Please do not operate motor vehicles or power equipment while under the influence of this show. Listening to this show could cause side effects such as bouts of laughter, violent binges of cabin fever, and even dreams of silver and gold. Please be advised. Now that the fine print is out of the way, on with the show.
All right, the fine print's out of the way. It's time to roll with the show. We're back and we're live once again. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for all the really cool digging people out there. And obviously this time of the year, some of us are certainly a little cooler than others. Seeing in the chat here, the Bills are in, Nelson, Mark, so we've got people from Florida dropping in. Looks like Chuck Smalley's in, man with the plan, nice to see, Nelson. Hopefully well, it looks like I may have missed a couple of names. The chat's already flying, but hey, that's all right. That's all right. We're certainly glad that everybody's here, glad that they've got the opportunity to drop in, tune in tonight, and see what's going on. First and foremost, links in the description. Our friends over at Shooters and Prospectors, Chuck Smalley, the man with the plan, a multi-line dealer. The dealer we like to plug here, dealing in XP, Noke to Macro, Minelab, Garrett, Detector Pro, Detectad, Dean Ricker, Cedar River Digging Tools, and more. Give the man a call. Our friends at XTREME Scoops, our friends at DETECTEES.com, Ken, Mark, Darth, Buddy, and the gang doing a great job over there. TheRingFinders, All Metal Militia, Detected Outdoors on YouTube, Ohio Metal Detecting on YouTube, Metal Detecting NYC on YouTube and Facebook. Also, we've got the link for the Simplex raffle. It still runs for a while yet. Great way to get your hands on a new Simplex. And then down way at the bottom of the info there, we've got some other links. We've also got the link to the Swing Into Summer event page, the I&I Club Hunt, group hunt. We've got the link to the flyer for Swing Into Summer. The flyer just dropped tonight. Great job on the graphics to those that were involved. A lot of information on that flyer, and you can find that link, or it's been shared all over Facebook by this point too, by Jesse, Chuck, myself. Welcome to Jesse in the chat, by the way. The link for the East Coast Research and Discovery Association beach hunt. You've heard us mention it before here on the show. We've got the link in for their hunt coming up shortly. What is it? I want to say, well, you'll see the information in the link as far as the date, the registration times, and all of that. The most interesting point to note with that one is that it is a beach hunt. It is in Ocean City, New Jersey, and there is 44 pounds of silver being seeded into the beach. That is a lot of silver. That's a whole lot of silver, actually. Wow, I mean, do the math on that. Even if you buy low, that can't be cheap for a group to put on. That's a lot. And, speaking of silver, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of nice prizes in the ground for the I&I hunt, too, with having Nook to Macro and Calico and Serious Detecting and Shooters and Prospectors and all of those great people there on the flyer as well, along with Ringy and KG and Andy Sibish and Charlene and the Nomads. It's going to be a great time. You got to see that. Welcome aboard to Barb as well, and Aqualand Relics from YouTube in the house. Well, isn't that interesting? Because tonight, our guest tonight is actually from YouTube too. Some of you may not have heard of his channel. Others have seen it because they've seen the promotion, they've seen the posts going around, and they've went and done their homework, checked out his channel a little bit, maybe even subscribed if they liked what they saw. And how could you not? He's very energetic about the hobby, very passionate about the hobby, and does some very, very good video too, by the way. It looks like it's all HD pretty much, which is nice to see. Very good, having a good time out with his buddies and all of that. So without further ado, let's get him drug in here too. Our guest tonight is John White from Crazy Spider Adventures on YouTube. And we may get into that a little later in the show, but let's get John in here too. How's it going tonight, John?
Well, hello, Josh. How are you?
All right. How is the weather for you? Where are you located?
I was going to say, speaking of cool, I'm still frozen out. I'm in the northern parts of Iowa, and I haven't been able to dig yet this year. Between my schedule, when it was still not frozen, it ended up freezing up before I could get out there, and now I'm in the waiting game of the big thaw coming up hopefully soon.
Right, yeah, you're certainly not alone. It's kind of killing me here. We're froze up in northern Ohio, but southern Ohio, they can still brave it and get out and dig. The ground's not quite froze for them, so it's like, well, what do you do? Also, I see Mindy from Detecting the Heartland in, so shout out to Detecting the Heartland, which you are one of their admins, by the way. Congratulations on that earlier actually last year it was.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. We got a pretty good admin team over there that, Casey and Mindy have put together, and, I'm proud to be part of that group.
It is a very large, very active group, a lot of participation from the members over there.
Yeah, and, a lot of the members are very, very active in a lot of other groups as well. I'm going to give my shameless shout-outs right now to the admin team, and you can hear some of the stuff that they're involved in, and, it just tells you, the level of the people that we have in the group. We have Jeff Thorson, great guy out of Des Moines here in Iowa. Roger Harris, he runs the Can You Dig It page as well. He does a little YouTube as well. Awesome guy. I love Roger. We got Ray Sawyer. He has a Facebook page, Metal Detecting Unlimited. He also has YouTube, 413 Mass Digger.
And the Facebook page for 413 Mass Digger.
Yeah, you're right on that. Sonia Harshman, of course, XP Sonia, and she's a member of XP Team USA. Kelly Underwood Zemsky, I always call her Kelly Underwear because I don't know how to say her last name. She, she's hooked up with Heath Jones with the History Seekers YouTube channel. You can find her there. And then, of course, none other than Casey and Mindy, and not to be left out, Miss Evie. She is the heart and soul of Detecting the Heartland. She is their daughter, and, if you're lucky enough, she makes portraits, and they send them out with some of the prizes that we have on different things that we do in the group.
I have seen that in the past.
Yep. So that's kind of our admin team in a nutshell. So as you can see, pretty active, and we've all been around a little while.
Yes. And speaking of Sonia, I can't recall if I mentioned or not, the links for XP Team USA Facebook group, website, and podcast are in the description as well. Fellow XP Team USA member. Very, very cool. So, for those who may not realize, I guess first off, let's just go straight out and say, how long have you been doing detecting? So, I got involved about 4 years ago with the page, and I started detecting this will be my third year coming up. I've always had a strong interest in history. When I was a little kid, paleontology was, my passion, what I wanted to do when I grew up, at that age. Eventually it turned into more archaeology, then back to paleontology, back to archaeology, one of those deals. And eventually it turned into wildlife and whatnot. But, I've always had that history, draw where, the History Channel or, eventually the Digger Show was a big thing for me. Anything that applied to anything from the past or just learning any of that stuff was just so awesome for me to just soak that in. And Casey and I, we actually worked together before I even knew about Detecting the Heartland or metal detecting or anything like that. And he's such a humble guy. He doesn't brag or anything like that. And I had no idea he was involved with any of this. And after he left the company for the company that we both work for now, he actually shot me an invite to his page, and oh man, that just triggered me right there. And as soon as I was able to buy a detector, I actually bought Mindy's old detector. I was a AT Pro, and that's what I started with. And yeah, the very first hunt we had, just like I'm sure a lot of us do, we started off by digging a lot of trash and other stuff that was interesting. And we stayed about 20 minutes longer than we expected to, and I ended up popping an 1890 V nickel. That was my first old coin. And, what a way to start.
Yeah, I didn't know what I had at first, and I just, it's a V nickel. I just thought everybody found these things. And,
I was going to say, did you start to think, wow, if they're all like this is going to be fun?
Right. And you think it's easier than it is. And no, it's the number one thing is, of course, research, as most of us know, and getting on the right spots. And that's kind of how I started out.
Nice. So we know what kind of got you into the hobby there and what you started with. And in your videos, you're using an Equinox 800 now. So
yes, I do.
What was that transition like for you? What detectors did you use along the way before you came to the Equinox?
Just the AT Pro. I actually bought the Equinox the winter, like the beginning part of the winter after they came out. I actually bought it from Jeff Thorson, one of the other admins. He has, I don't even know how many detectors he has, and it was just right place, right time, and I was lucky enough to buy it off of him. And it was my first experience going from my first detector, which I knew pretty well, to a different brand, different detector and whatnot. And so, the first couple times, not understanding 100% how to use it, you have the basic concepts, but you don't know what the VDI is or, how to adjust the tones yet and all that.
Right, because that's completely different than the AT Pro, so you've got yourself in a little bit of an acclimation period, getting used to the tones and the numbers all over again.
Yep. I don't think I found very much the first day, we'll put it that way. But yeah, as soon as you started testing things out and understanding the machine, it's been a beast for me. I really like the machine.
It has. It looks like it just, well, you could say once you got to the Equinox, it's like the floodgates kind of opened. You've got, like you said, you've been in the hobby like 3 years, but you've had kind of a hot start in the hobby. And I've tried to explain to some people that I've talked to about some of your finds, and I'm just, wow, this guy has made some really phenomenal finds for no longer than what he's been in the hobby. You should really check out some of his videos. And you had, I guess you had related a story to me about stopping by and meeting someone from the group on your way home from work, I believe it was. Would you like to kind of cover that and explain to people what was going on, kind of what brought you there and what you found?
Well, that trip was my inspiration to start YouTube. The find that you're talking about, when that happened, I was just like, I have to document this. I want to share it with people. I know that there's people out there that, for one reason or another, maybe aren't in a position that they can hunt. Maybe they can't afford to go hunting. Maybe they're bound to their homes and they can't get out hunting. Maybe they used to hunt but can no longer do so. And I just felt like, it was my way of taking them along on my journey. And what happened is there was a gal, her name is Dinah. She's a member of the Detecting the Heartland page. She had posted, that I missed the post too, but she had posted, hey, is anybody in my area? I'm newer to this. I really could use some help. Is anybody near me? And there was a little bit of activity from that, but nobody ended up, making it down to help her. And I work about an hour and a half away from where I live, and she happened to be right on my route to and from work. And she happened to see where I commented something about that on somebody else's post, and she asked if I could stop by and help her. And, I absolutely, that was no question, no hesitation. I absolutely can do that. And we get there, or I get there, and she had a carrot. I don't remember exactly what it was. We couldn't ground balance, and that was a big issue because her property ended up being very, very, very old, going back to the early 1800s. It had so much history to it over the years. And because of all the activity, she had a lot of iron, like square nails and just other iron that was just contaminating her ground pretty bad. And when I got there, I asked her, hey, what have you found so far? And she had a couple, containers full of just everything that she'd been digging because whenever she got a signal, she just dug it, which is smart for how old her property is, just dig everything because you never know. And she had a lot of really cool stuff there. But I was like, well, what have you found for coins? And she's like, oh, okay, I can show you. And she dumped out from an envelope these Indian head cents that she had found. And they were all, I think it was 1859 or 1860 was the oldest, and the newest was like 1870-ish, 1878, 9, somewhere in there. All of them were super old Indian head cents. I was like, okay, well, what about the rest of the, coins? Have you found any clad or anything? No, she hadn't. I was like,
wow.
You're kidding me. I was like, all right, well, let's fire up our machines. Let's get out in the yard. Let's, what I'll do is we'll find a signal. I'll swing over it. I'll tell you what I think it is. And we'll have you swing over it and see what your machine says. And, we'll dig and see what happens. Very first thing we dig, V-nickel. I'm like, are you kidding? And, a short time after that, we dug at Buffalo. And then we come around, it's only our second pass down the front of our house. And, we unearthed what I thought was a canning jar lid. I wasn't really paying attention to it. I kind of tossed it over next to her so she could, check it out or whatever. I got to thinking to myself, I'm like, man, that was kind of heavy. And she's starting to kind of like clear some of the dirt off of it. And I'm starting to see something coming through. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute here. I was like, is that what I think it is? And we start clearing off further. And I see an eagle coming through. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I started shaking. And I was like, Dinah, we got to go inside right now. I got to make a video phone call and confirm what this is. And it ended up being a breastplate, which I had checked out by Don Dotson. And he estimated plus or minus a year, estimated it to be from 1840, which with the type of, with the version of how it was made or whatever, which was pre-Civil War.
Right.
And we know that there was a stagecoach stop at basically the end of her driveway, kind of on the end part there. And we think that there was like a soldier camp there that was protecting the stagecoach travelers from any Native American attacks, is kind of what our thought was. I brought Casey back up with me, as my day was done at that point. I couldn't dig anymore.
Right.
That just kind of shut me down. And everything I was digging, everything we were digging, we were piling up, and my full intent, she's going to keep everything. And she actually offered for me to hang out. She's like, what am I going to do with it, And she's like, you're super excited about it. She's like, I can tell how much that means to you. You need to hang on to that. So I got lucky enough that I was able to take that home with me. To this day, like I mean, that just blew me away, and I appreciate her so much for that. Anyway, I brought Casey back 8 days later, and I'm about 12 feet from where I found the breastplate, and I popped a U.S. box plate. And that was in another one of my videos when we went back there on the return trip.
See, and that's what I'm saying. You have just been off to a hot start with some of your finds.
Some kind of luck. I don't even know how to explain it. But yes, there are people, I fully understand there's people that go years and years and maybe their whole lives and never dig anything like that. And, I don't know why I don't. It just is something that happened, and it is what it is.
Right, you're kind of going, I'm glad it did, it's a nice problem to have.
Right, but I fully understand, that's why I don't talk about it, that much. I like to share it, I like people to see it. I like people to hold them, things like that. But,
right.
I fully understand that, I feel very grateful, we'll put it that way.
Well, understandably so. I would be too. And I know I've seen some finds, like recently. I can't remember if that was a Favorite Find Friday post or something like that, but a very, very nice sash buckle that you had posted up.
Yeah. I think I found, two or three sash buckles from that particular yard. As well as a cameo earring. There's some episodes, a couple different episodes with the Victorian, like a big Victorian house, and it sat on a very large property that went back to the 1800s, and it came from that property. Nice. And then just like a block down the street, there's actually another property I was at where I found another sash buckle, and then, in my opinion, my absolute, without a doubt, coolest jewelry find. There was from everything I've researched, and I had people on ID.me confirm that through the ID.me Facebook page. It's a late 1800s micro mosaic brooch from Italy. And the lady that had lived there was very frugal. She lived there on her own for a very, very long time. And then the house was abandoned after her for a very long time before they tore it down. It was an old stone house. And They think that people of wealth, when they took tours of Europe, it was very common for them to buy one of those, and it would sit in a gold bezel. Unfortunately, the gold bezel was gone. But if you look really close, if you happen to see any of my photos or watch that video, you can actually see the gold. There's like a twisted gold wire that is in between the mosaic tiling, and you can actually see that kind of showing through.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So clearly, even though you've only been in a few years, obviously you're fairly keen on research, or you have someone assisting with research while you were learning the ropes and making some awesome finds along the way.
Yes, sir. Well, it was mainly me, but yeah, if I didn't know something, like I said, I would use the ID Me site or just ask around to buddies, or there's a lot of things I've learned from all the great people that are surrounding me.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that you've seen, the detecting community as a whole is usually a very friendly, helpful, courteous community. We try to do what we can to pitch in and help each other along the way.
Absolutely, and I think part of that is everybody understands the work that all of us put into our personal digs and our personal finds and everything else that we do, and it's all part of the hobby.
Right, and then throw YouTube videos in on top of it. That's a lot more work that some people don't necessarily realize when they don't come at it from a creator standpoint. The amount of time that you may put in trying to take video in the field, and then you've got to edit it, and then you upload it. And sure, maybe people see a 6-minute video, but they don't realize you may have as much as 12 or even 24 hours of time invested in that 6 minutes of video.
Yeah, I can't say I haven't lost sleep on some of that. And
right.
Sometimes I think she was one of your guests before, Steph Tangaway.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah. Steph Diggs, I think, is her YouTube channel.
Yes.
She, I was chatting with her quite a bit, and, she talked about all the time that she puts into her thumbnails alone for the YouTube videos.
Right.
And I found, as I'm getting better and better with, using Photoshop and learning the different ways I can do things or make them look like I want them to look like, I'm realizing what she means by that, because yes, it does take quite a while to get through a thumbnail by itself. Several hours, for a good one, probably.
Absolutely, it can. I usually never really messed much with the thumbnails. All of my time was consumed in the editing portion. You can get a lot of time wrapped up in a video.
Well, and some of it too is trial and error. And if you're not liking what you're doing, then you're back to scratch again. Over.
Yeah, exactly. And it sucks to have to do that, because you can look at it and go, man, do I really want to scrap this? I'm already 2 hours into this. And you decide, yes, but man, that means I got to start back over from the beginning again.
Yep. Not fun when that happens, but it does happen.
Right. Usually, though, the final outcome, I'm sure, like it has been with myself and many other creators that we've had on the show and other hunters, when you start seeing those comments come in of, hey, thanks, that find that you made, that you explained, I wasn't sure what I had until I saw your video, or you do a good job with the videos, keep up the good work, or even you inspired me to get involved in the hobby, makes all that work worthwhile.
Absolutely. You're 100% there.
I mean, sometimes that's the best compliment and encouragement that we can get, that just keeps us out there in the field trying that much harder.
Yeah, in the short time I've been doing YouTube, I had a gentleman comment. The most impactful comment that I had was where he basically said, hey, I'm brand new to the hobby, and your video helped me so much understand the Equinox machine, what the numbers mean, what the beeps sound like, that I can set it up different ways than how it comes factory, and, you know, it was very good to hear something like that. And, you know, realize it's not just experienced people that watch your video. You know, it's
Right.
brand new people in the hobby, sometimes people that aren't in the hobby whatsoever.
Exactly.
You know, so you got to keep it, you know, where you're educating everybody. But, you know, I mean, I guess there's a factor of trying not to make it too boring in that fashion to anybody experienced. But, you know, they've got to understand what you're doing as a creator or an educator as well.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a great way to put it. And you said when you found your breastplate, that's what kind of prompted you to start your YouTube channel. Did you do that video yourself, or did you have someone else hold the camera for you and just have them send you the footage? Or
that was originally recorded. I was just going to post it onto the Detecting the Heartland page. You know, but I kind of want to do something a little bit different, so I did a couple different, you know, one where I'm talking to the camera, and then one where I flipped around for the find and whatnot, and I kind of did an intro to it before I put it out there, and that was just kind of my, like, little, I guess, trial run, if you want to call that, or pilot.
right.
You know, but with the full intent of, okay, we need to invest in something else besides the phone, and you know, really kick this thing off the right way if we're going to do it. And luckily, my wife has been reluctantly supportive, I guess is the best way to put it. I think that deep down, she fully supports me, but she'll give me crap about it. But no, I'm happy she's allowed me to do what I've done so far, and hopefully I can continue that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the videos that I have seen have been great thus far. For those that watch your videos, or even for other YouTube creators out there, a lot of times I like to ask people that are on YouTube as well, what cameras are you using out in the field, and what software are you using to edit and publish those?
Yeah, absolutely. Really in the field, I haven't been in the situation where I've had to use my phone as a backup outside of that first video. But I use a GoPro Hero Black 7. When I'm home, I've started to use a couple things that I've had from the past that I've kind of tinkered with. I have a Nikon D5300 SLR camera, which I just recently started. Yep, I just recently started using that. And I actually have, unfortunately, it didn't record like I wanted it to here, but I do have a Shure lens hopper VD83F shotgun mic that goes on top of it. That guy, however, I realized I'm missing a cord. I thought I was recording and I wasn't recording. Yep, so I had to go off of the Nikon mic on that one. So it should have much better sound as soon as I get the missing cord. If you care about tripods, as far as the Nikon goes, I have a Slick Pro 700X tripod. Slick brands, after doing a lot of research, a lot of people seem to like that, especially if you do take it out in the field, because they're super light and easy to use. They break down very quick. They open up very quick. A lot of people use them for wildlife photography, things like that. And as far as my computer programs go, for my videos, I use Adobe Premiere Elements 2020, and then for my thumbnails and pictures, I use Adobe Photoshop Elements 2020.
Nice. I get the impression that photography must have been a hobby for you somewhere in the past.
More so for my wife. My wife really likes photography, and that's why we ended up investing in that over what we had before.
Okay.
There was actually a trip to Yellowstone we took, and we came across several spots of wildlife that we really could have used the Nikon just because of how far away it was. There was a mom bear and 2 cubs, and then a pack of wolves that were eating a carcass. And the camera we had at the time, you could see what it was, and it was just so fuzzy because it was so zoomed in and so far out. But that Nikon, it would have been awesome to have that back then.
Yeah, I was going to say that Nikon. I believe you said the D5300. That's in its day, that was a pretty pricey model.
Yeah, I don't remember what we spent, but it was back when it was kind of in its prime.
Yeah,
and it still runs great. I'm still impressed with it.
Yeah, absolutely. They still are very good cameras, but that's not normally what I hear people saying that they're using unless they've been doing this for a while and have upgraded a few times or something like that. So it's like, yeah, apparently there's some photography background somewhere in the past, somewhere there.
That's a good call.
But yes, excellent camera, especially for those long shots, like you mentioned, the bear and cubs and the wolf pack, because those things are better to watch at a distance.
Yep, and I can put my silver coins across the room and take photos from 20 feet away.
And get impeccable detail.
Yep.
You certainly know what you're doing in that aspect, because I've seen some of the photos that you've posted. I mean, videos aside, just some of the photos that you've posted, and you do very, very well. I mean, I've been able to watch my quality of photo go downhill a little bit, so to speak, in recent years due to issues and conditions and such, but yours are definitely very, very good photos.
I appreciate that. Sometimes things that you dig are very difficult to, get a good photograph for, whether it's just post on Facebook or putting on a video.
Yeah, it can be, especially when you're trying
sometimes you got to get a little. Oh, I was going to say sometimes you got to get a little creative with the lighting or angles that you're taking the shot at. Yeah,
especially when you're trying to get them in situ, so to speak. And we've got a caller on with us. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Josh. Hey, John. It's Chuck.
How is it going,
boy,
Chuck?
Josh,
how's it going, fellas? John, you were worried about having something. Huh?
Apparently, John's saying that anybody can get through to call in.
That's right. That's right.
How's it going, Chuck?
But I've watched his videos, and that's why I had him set up with you, and he does such a great job. And he's going to come over and hang with me at the Swing in the Summer Hunt.
That's right. Yeah, I guess now's the perfect time to mention. We did mention it on the last episode, but yes, Crazy Spider Adventures will be at the Swing in the Summer event.
Yes.
So you'll have to be looking over your shoulder. There'll be John with that SLR standing there.
Right, yeah, he'll be able to get some great photos of the hunt, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's made some incredible finds. That spot out there where he got the plate and the box plate. He sent me the picture. He kept and then called me and we were talking. And I sent him to Don, and Don's an expert in the field on that stuff. I mean, one of the top in the South, and I was tickled, and the condition of that, John, is phenomenal.
Yes, it is.
Just phenomenal. Great find, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is absolutely one to be proud of, for sure.
So, no, I just wanted to call in and tell John that you're doing a great job, and your videos are top-notch. They really are. So, and you let the cat out of the bag on the photography end of it. How far on where were you at on the black bears?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. That was so long ago. We were on a road that was up winding toward the top of one of the taller hills or mountains or whatever it was, and they were way down in the valley.
I guarantee. Yellowstone.
That's cool. That's cool.
And I guarantee you, Chuck would be one to say those things are definitely better to watch from a distance.
A long ways. A long ways, especially if you got a mama.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
They get real touchy then, but that's very cool. That's very cool. So with what you've been doing and all the involvement that you have given, and people are looking at your videos and such, where do you want to evolve to from here?
Yeah, did you even see it going as far as it has?
I mean, it's about where I thought, just, slowly growing and whatnot. And, I have, I think as a creator, you kind of look forward into the future some. It's going to go where it goes. I'm not somebody that's going to be upset that my channel's not getting to a certain level. It's one of those things, either you're going to, enjoy it and want to subscribe and be part of it, or not, and that's okay. It's not going to upset me one way or the other. In that future aspect, there's a lot of things in 2020 that I am starting to kind of get figured out now that should be pretty exciting, and hopefully everything comes to fruition. There's a lot of it's hush-hush. I know one thing I can talk about, and I'll plug them a little bit here. A couple other YouTubers over toward Omaha, where I'm actually from originally, Thomas Kugler and Ryan Degener, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, cross the plains and bug eater metal detecting. I'm planning a trip over that way at some point. Casey's probably going to come with me, and we have some spots over there we're going to go hit sometime this next year. And then I have some other, I like variety, and I like to go hunting with just all kinds of different people. And, I have some other fellow detectorists that I am planning trips with as well this next year. So it should be pretty fun in 2020. We'll see what happens.
Well, I'm planning on getting you over here, too. I've got a couple sites I'd like you to go to.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that, and I'm pretty excited to get out to a couple spots with you, Chuck.
Yep, we'll have a good time, and we'll keep working on our project and see how that goes and move from there.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And you've learned. It looks like you've learned your machine well, and that's good. And that's the whole ticket there. No matter what you're running, whether it's back to the AT or your 800, you're up to a 3030. If you're learning it and you understand what it's telling you and you can adapt with it, you're going to do well. And
right.
Videos
Time
like
with that
this show other people that you can do it, and that's one of the things that drew a lot of my attention to your videos.
That and the fact that you convey in your videos, I mean, you really are out there doing it for you. You're out there with your friends. You're just having a good time. If you make the finds, that's a plus. That's a bonus. But you're still enjoying yourself. Yeah. And like, you and I have talked a little bit before, Josh, and like I told you before, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, if you're not enjoying the content you're creating, and you're not enjoying filming in the field, it's not worth it if you don't enjoy it. Right. You got to have that passion too. Absolutely. Yep. When it starts to feel like work, it's time to step back and reassess the situation. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
now, Josh,
there's some of them giving you grief about being in Iowa. And one of them said bears in Iowa, and I said, well, I'm going to tell you straightforward, northeast Iowa up along Wisconsin, Minnesota, there are bears there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. All the time they're seeing them. So they've expanded back from Wisconsin and Minnesota into northeast Iowa, even a couple sightings in northern Illinois. So, yep, they're doing well.
Oh, yeah. Now, Josh, the episode last Sunday, was amazing. You had some awesome guests on. And, Chuck kept on talking about doing some wrangling of a couple guys. And I was really worried that Chuck had asked me to come to the INI hunt and help him out to do a little wrangling. And I'm very happy to report that I'm still going to go to the hunt now, because now I know I don't have to do that. I don't want to babysit. I'm scared of that.
We're going to have a good time. It's going to be a good time. You're going to like what goes on, John.
Yeah, so. I was going to say, if I had a babysit, I'm sure I'd have a good time too.
Oh yeah, you'd even have a good time even at that point. But it'll definitely be a good time. You'll get to put faces to names and meet people that have watched your videos. And I don't know if you've ever met Chuck face to face yet, but he is definitely quite the guy to meet in person. I'll be there myself, Jesse. You'll be meeting a number of people.
Oh yeah, no, I've always called Chuck the legend, even though he'll never say he is. And The very first time I met him, I had to. It was actually at his house, and had to take a photo with him in front of the Mississippi River.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, he'll be the first one to tell you he's a river rat.
That's right. Many years of it, and I love it. Sit there now during the wintertime when it's just too tough to get out. I sit and try to take pictures of the eagles, and you'll see a few posted up. I am not the best photographer in the world, but I have a lot of fun doing it. And I'm not the best on YouTube, but I'd rather sit and watch these young guys getting into it, and they're doing a good job. I always wish I had the equipment that we have today 30 years ago, so I could have recorded some of the things that I went through and was able to come across and meet some of the real legends of our hobby. I mean, just legends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. And I was blessed by learning from some of those guys, so I try to pass that on, and it's going to be a good time. And for you guys wondering who I was going to have them wrangle, that was KG and Ringy. And if they got hold of his camera, look out, Irene, man, it was going to be full.
Oh, yeah. I've
I threatened him for that. He's right, too.
Yeah, I've already warned Tam, don't leave your cell phone unattended at the meet and greet. Or the hunt, for that matter.
Everybody talks about leaving the cell phones unattended. Well, Chuck, I think, has a story about leaving his cart or his truck keys unattended.
Yes.
Oh.
So, hey, there's some talk on there about the Best Western down there in Galesburg. John, you're going to be staying there, and the rest of us at the meet and greet are going to be there, and there's still a few rooms available at that Best Western out of that block. Save some money if you're going to come.
They better get them quick.
Yes, they had, and there's a few. I talked with her. A few rooms we're going to have. We're expanding on that meet and greet. John will be there, and we'll be talking about John and his endeavors. Our MC that night, Ron Gonzano, Chicago Ron, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a learning curve. We'd like to bring these people in because you have fun with them, but you learn from them. And our feeling within all these clubs and Facebook groups, we want you to learn to do it properly. We want you to fill your holes, pick up your garbage, ask permission, all this, and that's one of the things that we try to put forward on this. And John is a very good example of all what goes on,
yes.
And many, many, many others. So, we kind of police our activities and keep it going and keep it growing. That's what the fun of it all is.
Absolutely.
And meeting everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I saw a few familiar faces on that flyer, so it'll be nice to meet up with everyone again.
And there's still some kind of getting scheduled up that aren't announced yet, and hopefully they make it. And you'll get to meet people from the relic hunting, hopefully gold hunting, and guys in the Midwest, and John, and YouTubers, and get ideas and tips and tricks. That's what this is all about. A couple good hunts alongside of it. The kids hunt is sponsored by Kellyco. The first hunt's by Serious Detecting, and Kellyco is really going all out for our kids hunt. It's going to be a good time. And then the I&I hunt, the last one sponsored by Naka Macro, and then there's other sponsors all the way through. It's going to be a good time, guys. It's a one-day deal, and that's rain or shine. So bring your rain gear.
Right. Yep, because it goes one way or the other, and we know that from 2017 with the monsoon.
Yep. Oh, that's right. Josh's photos on the flyer. Mark saying you're becoming famous, Josh.
Oh, I don't know about all that. We just threw that in there to confuse everybody, because usually they see the logo art for the channel rather than a photo of me.
There you go. I got asked earlier today why my picture wasn't there, and I told him I'm kind of not that photogenic. I don't want to scare anybody.
Yeah, Jesse had said something earlier about, we've got some talent on that photo. I said, well, I don't know how I made it in there then. I'm not sure what talent I am, but I guess apparently I rate somewhere.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, and John rates too. But we ran out of room on the flyer. There's several others that, yeah, well, we might have to put out a second flyer.
Yeah.
Hey. Mark, you're right. I think Carolyn is coming from Calico, Carolyn Harwick, and she did say she's getting married the following week, so that's going to be a Roadrunner job for him.
Oh yeah, hectic month for her then.
Yep. Wow. I tried to get Mark Tominski come. He's a friend of mine. I've known Mark a long time. He's worked with Kelly Cody. I've worked with him on different stuff, and Mark's kind of booked up. So Carolyn was kind enough to say she would probably come. Then she told me she's getting married a week later. I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Right, yeah.
So let's get back with John. He was all worried he wouldn't have much to talk about, but you keep him moving right along. And John, you are outstanding in what you're doing. You're upstanding for our hobby, and I thank you. And we'll be talking some more and doing some things together. And I may get you out. I'll be talking with a friend of mine and see if we can have you do a little dig with us on a very special site out here. And you may like that very much.
I'm sure.
Awesome. I can't wait to see what you got planned for me. Just before you go there, Chuck, I got a question that's itching me. And I think some of the listeners are probably itching too. So I don't know if you can name names, but who are some of the legends that you consider legends when you talk about that?
Well, I was very fortunate to meet and talk with Mr. Garrett, Charles Garrett, Jimmy Sierra from White's.
Yeah.
We've got one right here in our community that
Finch.
I will put with the very best in the world, and I'm hoping to have him there with his stuff, and that'll be announced shortly. And then several others too, and I've met and worked with some of the early Fisher team. Just almost too many to name, but those two, I actually got to spend a couple days with Jimmy Sierra, and then actually in the gold hunting field, Perry Massey, and several others out there, and they taught me a lot, and I was able to get out and work with them, and we did rather well, and I learned a lot on actually gold prospecting, not just detecting, but gold prospecting from Perry.
And not only did you learn it, you learned it well.
Yeah, I did all right. They were good in the field. And then gentleman out in Wyoming, Tom Lindemeyer, and you won't see pictures of him detecting, but he was one of the top historians of the Wild West. He's written 3 books, and he and I got to prospecting together because we both had the same love of prospecting, and we had claims in Wyoming and did very well. Mark Hoover, you are correct. Stu Auerbach, I got to know him and hang with him several times, and just Mel Fisher, I actually got to meet, sit and have dinner with him. He wanted me to come to work for him, but I'd already went to work for 3M, and Jill and I were expecting our firstborn, and it just didn't seem like the thing to do at the time, and, woulda, shoulda, coulda. But, that's just the way it goes. But I learned a lot on some research from that gentleman.
Absolutely.
So I crossed paths with some of the greats in our field. I've hunted with some of the greats in our field, and learned just mountains of things from them. Going back to my buddy out in Wyoming, he rebuilt the territorial prison in Laramie for the state of Wyoming. He rebuilt, and if you ever get out there, one of the best stops you can ever make out in a little town called Atlantic City is a ghost town, and it's owned by the state of Wyoming. He totally rebuilt that ghost town, got working on the old Carissa mine there, and he and I studied a lot that went on out there for a 10-year period. We were trying to track down something that was stolen from the Carissa by none other than the Wild Bunch. They robbed that mine, and and I'll tell you, and it's well documented, there's 16 2-pound ingots that are buried along a roadway out there, and they changed the road from the time Butch Cassidy robbed that place. They got away with it, but the heat was on. They buried it. Now, for all of you out there that believe Butch Cassidy died down in South America, no. They actually have pictures posted of him 9 years after his supposed death out there looking for that gold. It's still there. So that was something that we researched and followed. This is, one of the old West trails. So there's a lot that I've been able to do. And this hobby has led me all over the world. And I met some of the best people in the world in our hobby. So, it's just been a great road, and I take the turns as they come, and I go with it, and just enjoy meeting all you guys and talking to you guys, and seeing it grow and expand, and people making great finds that just would have never believed they could find it. And I always tell this to everybody I talk to. They tell me it was a find of a lifetime, and I stop them right there. I said, no, it's not. Tomorrow could be the find of a lifetime again. You could have another tomorrow, and again, just say, I've made a great find. I've always hoped to find this, and that was a bucket lister. I'm moving forward after that.
Yep, keep looking for the next one.
That's right. That's right. That's what our hobby's so good about. You just don't know what you're going to dig up that next turn. I mean, I'm in England. I pop another gold coin. That makes number 7, but Don over here, Finch, is the guy I was talking about, our local legend. Amazing. From 1964 forward. Just amazing. His house is a museum.
Yes, it is.
Just amazing finds. So you run into some of those people, and you take to heart what they tell you and how they teach you, and put it to use, and go after the next great find, John.
Absolutely. That speaks volumes to this last year that I had, because every time I thought I had the find of a lifetime, it's like, give it a couple weeks. So, yes, you're absolutely
I've got
right.
a few bucket listers I haven't found yet. There's some that have escaped me. There's others that I've dug up, went, wow, I never thought I'd find that. Well, we'll put that over here. And you keep going. You've been in my shed and seen the piles of stuff I have yet to even go through.
Yeah, yep. What is your white whale?
George Washington button's one of them.
I figured that was coming. GW button.
I have never dug a GW button. And there's one coin that's eluded me. A half-cent. That's just eluded me for some reason. I've got no idea. I found trimes. I found 3-cent nickel, 2-cent pieces. Never found a half-cent. Large cents I found. That half-cents eluded me. One of these days I'm going to pop one up. Now, I've seen some found. You can't even read them, but you know they're a half-cent. I want to find one that looks pretty decent.
There you go.
So, John, you've got a couple things that I have never found intact box plate. Broken one. So, you just don't know what you're going to dig up, buddy.
That's right.
Exactly.
And there's things that I have found I don't post, I don't take pictures of, and I don't talk about much.
Right. For good reason.
Yeah. So, it's just one of those things. I came up in the old school, we treasure hunt.
Right. We keep our mouth shut.
So, but there's some things, if I find a half-cent, you're going to see it. If I find a GW, you're going to see it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And look forward to the day it happens.
And you're far enough north and out. You're up in that Western Trail area, just like I like to follow, from Dubuque across, Keokuk, Iowa across, down to St. Joe and across. Those type of places where people left to go west. You're onto a spot that evidently was part of one of the main trails that went across. And you and I talked about this before. I think you found either an outpost site for the military, as people were the 1840s. That breastplate is the right time for the westward expansion on gold. And they did send the troops out there to protect people moving west.
That is true.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're on to one. That's cool.
Yes, it is.
So anyway, I'll get out of here, John. It's your show. I'll let you talk And you guys have a great time. I hope to get to see you all at the I&I Club Hunt, and that looks like a good time. John will be there. We got a lot of great people coming in. And to the I&I Club members and to all the Detecting the Heartland, IVHRA, and everybody listening, I'm hoping that we get Mark Hoover up here. He's another one that represents our hobby great. We're going to get the bills. I can't forget that. That was one thing I wanted on that flyer. We're going to have the bills from Ohio, but we just didn't have room. And that kind of thing. So it'll be a hoot.
Yep, we will have the bills.
Yes, we will have the bills. You're going to ride herd over them on the way out, right? You're going to keep them in line, Josh?
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to try to do what I can to keep them wrangled.
Okay. Somebody's got to do it.
They're a handful, but I think we've got it covered. We're bribing them with snacks.
Food always works. Food and beer, they'll be happy.
Yeah, exactly. We did happen to mention some jalapeno cheddar bacon beer bread for them.
Wow. Keep the windows down on the car.
Well, that's the beauty of power windows, I guess, in that time of the year.
And John, you're going to have a good time out there too. I'll let you meet some of my good friends that I've got to go hunt with. KG and Ringy are a couple others that I've got to go out and have a lot of fun with. I had them out here in Iowa with Shot a Show, and I've been with them out in Arizona and the hunt here and a couple other places. So Vegas, a good time. They're good guys. They really promote our hobby well, just like you do. So thank you for what you're doing, and it'll keep growing for you. Everybody have a good night.
That, Chuck.
Thanks for the call,
thank you,
Chuck.
You bet. Bye-bye.
And much like you were saying, John, Chuck is another one of those that he is so experienced in the hobby, has so many good stories to share. When he talks, it's definitely good to listen.
Absolutely. That's why I was kind of being quiet there for a little bit.
Well, I guess we have been running on here for a while, but I really don't want to cut it off just yet. I mean, because I am very, very intrigued in the concept of your logo, because it is a very, very catchy logo. Very cool logo, by the way. Really like the way that's done with the Equinox coil worked in there subtly. And the name behind the YouTube channel.
I was wondering if you're going to get to that. I know I have some people out there listening that are listening specifically for the story.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only one that is intrigued by that.
Yep. So there's only just a few people that in the hobby that know about where that derives from. So my family was really, really big into Boy Scouts. And myself and both my younger brothers are all Eagle Scouts. And one of the camps that all three of us worked at was down in St. Joe, Missouri, a camp called Camp Geiger. And Camp Geiger has a honor camping society that generally kids around, around the third year of camping, the honor camping society is called the Tribe of Mikkosay. They have customs and traditions that are similar to, Native Americans, and it basically keeps boys around, keeps them involved, keeps them coming back to camps, it keeps them in Boy Scouts. And it's very similar to Order of the Arrow, if anybody's familiar with Order of the Arrow but not familiar with Mikkosay. And when you're tapped into the tribe, everybody that's tapped in the tribe, you're given a tribal name. And the story actually started back in my first year of camping. I had to have been, I don't even know how old, 11 years old, 12 years old, something like that. And I was part of, I think it was called Pathfinders program. It was basically like a 3-hour block. You had your whole morning for the brand new campers. And you knocked out several merit badges in that 3-hour window, but you're with the same group of kids and the same counselor. And which was pretty smart that they did something like that for a first-year camper, kids that might be homesick or whatever else, it helps them out. And one of our travels, we were, everybody was kind of given nicknames by our counselor, just for fun. And we were kind of in the bottoms of a ravine after rain, so there's, water flowing through, and we're just kind of, splashing on through the water, just wasting time or whatever, and there were some worms down in the water. And I got dared by one of the boys to eat one of the worms. And I was like, no way. And then I got offered like $5. And I was out of money to call home. I was out of money for slushies. I was out of money for any treats at the trading post. I was like, well, $5 sounds pretty good. So
right, game on.
After squeezing the innards out, I downed the worm and got $5 out of the deal. And so my nickname from the counselor was anything for $1. And the medicine men and Sakums of the tribe, after I was tapped in on my 3rd year, you share camp stories with them, and that helps them kind of figure out a tribal name for you. And that was the story that they went back to. Is for some reason I brought that up and talked about it. I think they asked if I had any names or any nicknames at camp or whatever, and that's how that got brought up. And some of those guys back then, that was they don't use the word crazy a whole lot. That's not a very common thing just for PR, I'm sure, that they don't use the word crazy. But in my case, with the story behind it, I was at the time dubbed Brave Crazy Spider, and that's where my name came from. And Crazy Spider has been a part of my life since then, and will be until the end of my days.
Wow.
So that's the crazy story.
So, yeah, that's the whole crazy story of Crazy Spider Adventures. Yep. So you just kind of carried it over to YouTube then as well. And yes. What gave you the idea for the logo concept?
The logo, actually, I kind of did my own, kind of put it out there a little bit. And R.C. Dunn, who is part of Detecting Heartland, and I think he's part of other groups too, but R.C. Dunn...
and XP Team USA.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think he's part of XP as well. He, I think, does something like that for a living or just is really good at it. And he's like, hold my beer. 5 minutes later, he comes up with his logo. And no, it was like spot on. Couldn't be any more perfect. And my payment to him was he got some stickers and a shirt for free from me for his work on that. So I appreciate that, RC, if you're listening.
It is very, very catchy. He does some very good work, and he really is quick on the spot with that stuff.
Yes, he's helped a lot of people with logos for whether they're making a Facebook page, just want an avatar, or whatever. He's willing to help them out. He's a good guy. I appreciate having RC as a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have seen those stickers. I have not seen the shirts, but the stickers are very, very sharp. Nice logo.
Yep. I just did one round of merch just to kind of kick things off a little bit and get people interested a little bit more. I think a lot of people that are, content creators with YouTube try to do something similar, just to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit. And I think this next year, unless I end up needing more shirts myself, I probably won't do shirts right off the bat. Right. But I am planning a round of stickers. So if you didn't see the inside joke, the stickers I made, I was like, oh yeah, bigger the better, just make the biggest size, whatever. And so when they came back, they are massive. They're huge stickers. They're like 6 inches, 7 inches across, something like that. And every sticker I've seen it compared to, it just dwarfs everything else. So
go big or go home, I guess.
Yeah. To send them out to everybody, it cost me like $1 something in shipping, just because I can't send it like regular mail.
No,
it's that big.
Yeah, the regular mail just doesn't work for that.
No, so I'm going to make another round of stickers because I'm almost out of those. Actually, I'm going to do another round probably next month. That way, I have more stickers for the Detecting the Heartland hunt in May, and then also for the I&I hunt come June.
Right.
I'll make plenty of those, so if anybody's at either of those hunts and is interested in, any of those stickers, if you have kids that want some, I will have them on hand to hand out to you guys.
And even though I know they've already sold out and all of that, feel free to mention the Detecting the Heartland hunt, the details on that, too, while you're on.
Yeah, well, I don't have the details right in front of me. It is sold out. Like I said, it's in May, like the mid part of May. we're going with basically the same layout as last year. I think it was slightly different than the year before, but pretty close. It 2 years ago sold out. I don't remember what it was. It was within a week, I believe. Last year, it sold out in like 22 hours, and then this year it sold out in just 4. It was just under 4 hours this year, and it's 160 spots or something like that. But if you are interested, Casey does have a waiting list going, so if anybody drops out or can't make it, a lot of those people that are on the waiting list do end up making it in by May. So if you are interested or want to make that trip out, definitely get on our page if you're not already. And in the announcement section, we have a post for the hunt. Just comment on there that you would like on the waiting list, and Casey will get you added to that. Casey and Mindy are really good about kind of keeping that part of it organized through the page there.
Right, and at the very least, if they're not over on Detecting the Heartland, they can go over and get themselves into the group, and I'm sure they'll see photos of the hunt if they can't attend.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of people that do videos. I think we even had a drone that flew last year, took some pictures and video from the group, which is pretty cool.
Nice. And I'm sure we'll probably see some photos from you or of you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be more in a helping capacity than I have been in previous years. I'm finding that I kind of like the social aspect a little bit more than the, open hunt aspect.
Right.
So I'd rather be there helping wherever I can.
Right.
As Casey and Mindy and, everybody else that's helped in the past, they put so much time and effort into it that I want to be able to, take part in that and, pull my fair weight too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure I'll be hanging out with Chuck for a little bit, and I believe Heath Jones and Kelly will be up with History Seekers. I'll be hanging out with them for a little bit, I'm sure. I'm not sure who else is going to be there, but you never know. There's always somebody to talk to.
Right. Absolutely. It's going to be a good time regardless. And much like yourself, I mean, the seated hunts are fun, but I don't usually hunt, do a lot of seated hunts. I like the allure of the natural find versus the seated find, I guess you could say. But it's still great to meet the people. I agree.
Absolutely, I agree.
Absolutely. Well, anything else or anyone else that you would like to plug or mention before we go? And obviously make sure to mention your YouTube channel.
I don't want to take, hunting with them for granted at all. One of the other couple people that actually they were in one of my videos earlier this year. Hopefully we'll be doing some filming with them this year again. They took me out to one of their permissions, and I found a $50. And so nice. I'm going to return the favor to them and get them some of my permissions. This spring we were trying for last year, but it just wasn't working out between harvest and weather and work schedules and all that. But Bob and Dan Beaver, they have a page on Facebook, Beaverinos Metal Detecting. Good guys. They generally attend a lot of the different events as well. I'll be out hunting with them as well. There's all kinds of people I would like to talk about, but if I'm forgetting somebody, my apologies. There's a lot of people that surround you in this hobby that are all absolutely fantastic people, and you could sit here all day and talk about a whole bunch of individuals. So I'm just glad I have a lot of support cast around me, and that I am heading the direction I am, I guess, in the field.
Yeah.
And it takes more. It's not the credit needs to go to everybody around me. It's nothing I'm doing special. You know what I mean? I'm just a person.
Well, continued success to you, and hopefully everything keeps moving that direction, because you are doing very well for yourself.
I appreciate that.
Well, we certainly appreciate you for taking the time to sit in with us tonight. Hang in there with me for a few minutes, and we'll get on out of here.
Sounds good. Thank you for everything, Josh.
All right, I'll be back to you in just a few minutes there, John. For everyone else, that was John White, Crazy Spider Adventures. Really, really great gentleman to speak with. Just such a well of enthusiasm and passion for the hobby. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, by all means, make sure to stop on over and check that out at Crazy Spider Adventures on YouTube. Let him know you heard him here. It never hurts for people to know where the information's coming from. Until the next time, if you enjoyed the show, make sure and throw us a like. You can follow us here on Spreaker, iHeart, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, and, well, you know the routine. Just Google Beyond Sight and Sound. We're everywhere. For tonight, thanks again to John White. We've got to roll. We'll see you on the next one.